Morning all. Do you know what? I was just about to stop the recording because I've still got that thing where I just can't get started. I go morning all, and then my mind just loses all ability to carry on, and actually I'm just going to leave that in here because I am getting better at these videos, there's no doubt about it, and I'm getting more comfortable with the format, but I guess you're never the finished article. I still haven't quite worked out how to crack on with the opening sentence, but here I am again, and I'm relaxed, and we're rocking and rolling again. So today's video is all about the final section of this little kind of series within the series, where I talk about the different elements of my day, and I try to discuss and explain why they're important to me, in the hope that you may agree and you may maybe pick some of these little kind of habits up. And today's all about the fact that I end each weekday with some reading. And I do that every night. What I'll normally do is I'll sit downstairs, I'll watch a program with Anna. I'm not mad big on telly, but I enjoy, watching series on Netflix or whatever. And effectively my strategy with this is I will come upstairs to bed half an hour earlier than I normally would to spend half an hour reading a chapter or a couple of chapters or a few pages, depending on how I feel, depending on how the flow of the book is, and reading my book. And it's really, for me, all about getting into good habits, because I'm a really slow reader. And some people, like Anna, for example, and a lot of people I know, they can just kind of read and read and read, and the chapters just get chewed up, and they're the people that go away on holiday and read like 5 books. I'm lucky to read 5 chapters on holiday, normally because my mind's jumping from one thing to another, or I get bored sitting down in one place for too long, or I get too hot, or my head starts to burn, which, as we discovered a couple of weeks ago, takes about 3 minutes. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, again, I think there'll be maybe a judgment that, I read every night, and that's because I love reading. And if anyone's watching these videos that doesn't love reading, then it's not going to relate and it's not going to communicate to you. But I think it's all about getting into better habits, and reading is a really great way to end the day, because 9 times out of 10 what you're reading is either inspirational, motivational, positive messages. And along your journey with the reading, you'll definitely pick up little tips, little hints that you're going to remember. I don't have high expectations when I buy a book. If I can put a book down and I have learned one thing from it, which creeps back in to my routine, to my daily working life, I consider myself to have won. And I consider myself that to have been a worthwhile task, reading that book. I think you may remember I spoke about me reading a chapter in a book called Get Up, and it just said that your energy is a gift. That really stuck with me. And since reading that book, which, let's face it, cost about a tenner, that's been worth its weight in gold. The amount of times I've got out of bed by reminding myself that my energy is a gift is unbelievable. And that is what you're searching for. This is a journey. You make sure you maximize your chances of enjoying the book, and don't be afraid to sack a book off if it's just not working for you. One of the most popular business books of our time, The Chimp Paradox. I got halfway through it and I really wanted to crack on, but it just didn't speak to me. So I just got rid of it. I couldn't get on with it. There's probably loads of people that would disagree wholeheartedly with me. But that is the reality. So don't be afraid to get rid of a book that you're not enjoying. And just finishing again on this kind of the good habits. If you can end the day with a quick read of your book, that's another good habit to slot in to your operation. And good habits work in exactly the same way as bad habits. You can really quickly kind of put a load of effort into creating as many good habits as you can, and they almost spur each other on. It almost is like a cycle, which the more good habits you do, the more good habits you want to do. And it's the same for bad habits, you know, the more bad habits you get in, lying in the morning, drinking every weekday, just having one can of beer when you get home, it'll turn into 2, 3, 4. They work in exactly the same way, and you've got to try to make the good habits outweigh the bad habits, because then you're moving in the right direction. And I think if you do read, that's great, you know, keep it up. I think there's a novelty drop with reading, no doubt about it. It's quite a steep one. You might start to read a book and really enjoy the first chapter, and if you have a little wobble on the second chapter, you can very, very quickly sack that off, and you've got to push through like we've spoken about before. But ultimately, within these books that you buy, know one thing, and that is that if you keep this up and you introduce reading on a daily basis into your lives, you're going to find some gems, and those gems are going to really help you. And then it makes the whole thing worthwhile. Just going to end by touching on the fact that I always read as well. I don't listen to audiobooks because I feel as though, for me, audiobooks are great to pick up the information, but reading is a little bit like what exercise is for the body. That's the equivalent of what reading is for the mind. You've got to flex the muscle, which is your brain, because it is, you know, you need to make sure you're actively working that to keep it sharp, to keep it focused. And I just feel as though it's one of those things which you've got to slot in. You should be doing it. If you're not doing it, pick it up. Start little and often. And I really think it will make a big difference to the way you roll. So we'll catch up tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.